The ancient Egyptians had to invent or discover everything for themselves, because unlike other civilizations such as the Greeks in the West or the Chinese in the East, they had no one to learn from. Therefore, the Egyptians had to invent mathematics, geometry, surveying, astronomy, accounting, writing, paper, medicine, and many other things. Here are the most inventions made by the ancient Egyptians. Number 1 is the pyramids. The oldest pyramid was erected from King Zoser between 2667 and 2648 BC. In fact, it's the first monumental stone building designed and constructed that we know of. And of course, the Great Pyramids is one of the great wonders of our world till now. Number 2, writing. Along with the Mesopotamians, the Egyptians were the first people to develop their language into a codified form of writing. All early forms of writing were pictograms, picture. All writing systems developed in this way. Number 3, papyrus sheets. Papyrus sheets are the earliest paper-like material. All other civilizations used stone, clay tablets, animal hide, wood, materials, or wax as a writing surface. Papyrus was for over 3,000 years the most important writing material in the ancient world. It was exported all around the Mediterranean and was widely used in the Roman Empire. Black ink. The Egyptians mixed vegetable gum, soot, and beeswax to make black ink. They replaced soot with other materials such as ochre to make various colors. The ox-drawn plough. Using the power of oxen to pull the plough revolutionized agriculture, and modified versions of this Egyptian invention are still used by farmers in developing countries around the world. The sickle. The sickle is a curved blade used for cutting and harvesting grain, such as wheat and barley. Irrigation. The Egyptians constructed canals and irrigation ditches to harness Nile rivers, yearly flood, and bring water to distant fields. Shadoof. The shadoof is a long balancing pole with a weight on one end and a bucket on the other. The bucket is filled with water and easily raised, then emptied onto higher ground. The calendar. The Egyptians devised the solar calendar by recording the early reappearance of Sirius, the dog star, in the eastern sky. It was a fixed point which coincided with the yearly flooding of the Nile. This calendar had 365 days and 12 months, with 30 days in each month and an additional 5 festival days at the end of the year. However, they did not account for the additional fraction of the day, and their calendar gradually became incorrect. Eventually, Ptolemy III added 1 day to the 365 days every 4 years. Clocks. In order to tell the time, Egyptians invented 2 types of clock. Obelisks were used as sun clock by noting how its shadow moved around its surface throughout the day. From the use of obelisks, they identified the longest and shortest days of the year. The police. During the Old and Middle Kingdoms, order was kept by local officials with their own private police forces. During the New Kingdom, a more centralized police force developed, made up primarily of Egypt's Nubian allies, the Magi. They were armed with staffs and used dogs. Surgical instruments. The Edwin Smith Papyrus shows the Egyptian invented medical surgery. It describes 48 surgical cases of injuries of the head, neck, shoulders, breast, and chest. It includes a list of instruments used during surgeries, with instructions for the suturing of wounds using a needle and a thread. This list includes lint, swabs, bandage, adhesive plaster, surgical stitches. The Cairo Museum has a collection of surgical instruments, which include scalpels, scissors, copper needles, forceps, spoons, lancets, hooks, ropes, and pincers. Wigs. During the hot summers, many Egyptians shaved their heads to keep them clean and prevent pests such as lice. Although priests remained bald as part of their purification rituals, those that could afford it had wigs made in various styles and set with perfumed beeswax. Cosmetic makeup. The Egyptians invented eye makeup as far back as 4000 BC. They combined soot with a lead mineral called galena to create a black ointment known as kohl. Toothpaste. At 2003 dental conference in Vienna, dentists sampled a replication of ancient Egyptian toothpaste. Its ingredients including powder of ox hooves, ashes, burnt eggshells, and pumice. Another toothpaste recipe and how to brush guide was written on a papyrus from the 4th century AD, describes how to mix precise amounts of rock salt, mint, dried iris flower, and the grains of pepper to form a powder for white and perfect teeth. Mummification. The Egyptians were so expert at preserving the bodies of the dead that after thousands of years were none of the diseases they suffered, such as arthritis, tuberculosis of the bone, gout, tooth decay, bladder stones, and gallstones. There is evidence too of the disease bilharzia, caused by small parasitic flatworms, which still exists in Egypt today. There seems to have been no syphilis or ricks, and still a great mystery of ancient Egypt.